by kneeling during the playing of our national anthem, I think is disgraceful.
The NFL and these players go out there and they take a knee. They're stealing this moment of historic unity, of patriotism.
President Trump is promising to make America competitive again.
This is not just a tax bill, it's a jobs bill. Job creators, job holders, and job seekers will all benefit from the Trump tax vision.
The American university was once the center of academic freedom, but it is transforming into an echo chamber of political correctness, a shelter for fragile egos.
And go ahead then and sing a little.
Let's get it started in here. Yeah, that's all I got.
In 20 years I've never sing. It's always been just a repeat.
Yeah, you know what's so interesting is an hour and 15 minutes ago, it was this young lady that was singing, and you made the cold open last
She was singing the Nationwide is on Your Side ad.
I said, I can't believe I made the cold open, and Steve said, well, you know you're on the air all the time on this show. You got to remember that.
That's right. Abby is in for Ainsley today. Thank you very much for joining us on this very busy Wednesday.
Yeah, good morning to all of you. Let's get straight to a Fox News ad now, claiming responsibility for a rocket attack targeting Defense Secretary James Mattis shortly after landing in Afghanistan overnight.
Lucas Tomlinson was able to break this story. He is live at the Pentagon with brand new details. I imagine the Secretary of Defense wasn't as rattled as you and I might be if that had happened.
Well, that's right, Brian. Well, officials tell me the rocket attack on the Kabul's International Airport ended a short time ago, but just less than 2 hours after Defense Secretary Jim Mattis arrived. Nearly 40 to 45 rockets and rocket-propelled grenades rained down on the airport. Now, Mattis had just left aboard a helicopter for a meeting with Afghanistan's President Ghani. A short time ago, Secretary Mattis spoke about the attack.
An attack on an international airport anywhere in the world is a criminal act by terrorists. It's designed to go after generally innocent people to make some sort of statement. And a classic definition of what the Taliban are up to right now. We will suffocate any hope that Al-Qaeda or ISIS, Daesh, Haqqani or the Taliban have of winning by killing. I want to reinforce to the Taliban that the only path to peace and political legitimacy for them is through a negotiated settlement.
Officials tell me there were no injuries to U.S. troops. One Afghan civilian was killed, according to a local report. The Taliban are claiming credit for the attack and said Mattis was their target, raising serious questions about who tipped them off. The attack happened today at 7:30 a.m. local time. Mattis had been in India the day before. Now, this is Secretary Mattis's first trip to Afghanistan since President Trump recently announced a new strategy for the 16-year-old war, which includes sending more than 3,000 additional U.S. troops to join the nearly 11,000 on the ground. And these new U.S. troops will be serving closer to the front lines with the ability to call in airstrikes. Already, U.S. jets are increasing the number of bombs they are dropping on the Taliban and ISIS and affiliates in the east. Last month, more bombs were dropped than any time in the past 5 years. And yesterday on Capitol Hill, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joe Dunford, said that Pakistan needs to stop harboring the Taliban and the Haqqani network and giving them sanctuary. And one more thing, today marks the anniversary of the Taliban taking Kabul and later harboring Osama bin Laden. Guys?
All right, thanks, Lucas. You know, when James Mattis speaks, you want to listen. Listen closely.
Right, and hopefully we get some action over in Pakistan. Meanwhile, 4 minutes after the top of the hour, it's time to bring in the U.S. Attorney General. I almost said Senator Jeff Sessions, but that's your old gig. Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Welcome back, Mr. Jeff.
Thank you, Brian.
Well, first off, I noticed you were busy yesterday on college campuses. What is the Department of Justice doing about what many people feel is a suffocating feeling on college campuses when it comes to free speech?
Well, we want to speak out, first of all, and call on presidents and trustees and legislatures and donors to make sure that their colleges aren't no place in the country should we have more robust discussion than on college campuses. And I truly believe, in talking to a lot of young college graduates, that we've drifted way too far in controlling speech. And I wanted to make that point, number one. Number two, we can intervene and will intervene in various lawsuits where we believe overly constricted in their right to speak out and express themselves. It is a civil right. The Department of Justice has a duty to defend people's civil rights.
Well, Mr. Attorney General, as you know, you watch TV. It's not all sides that are being suffocated. It's just one side. It is, you look at what has happened out in California when people have tried to go out and speak at Berkeley. I think it was Ben Shapiro just a week or two ago was supposed to go out there. Cost him $600,000 to protect the conservative guy simply for exercising his freedom of speech.
Right. You have what we see often is the heckler's veto. That means that a group of protesters raise a ruckus before a speaker comes, and often the speech is either canceled or put in a secondary low, not effective. There is a bias, I think, personally, pretty clearly against conservative speech. Ben Shapiro, a 33-year-old brilliant Jewish Harvard law graduate, they sent out a notice before he came to Berkeley and said, if it upsets you so badly, we will give you counseling to the students who might be faint or something if he spoke there. This is, kind of ridiculous. We need robust, open debate on college campuses, and that's the ideal that has made our universities great.
What about the football field? Because you have said that the NFL players, that they should stop kneeling for the national anthem. A lot of critics of yours this morning saying, well, isn't that a symbol of free speech?
Look, I believe that every American should, as a matter of propriety and love of country, should not place their political views in a situation where you don't stand for the pledge or the national anthem. Everybody should do that. The president is exactly right to say no matter what you think of Hillary Clinton or President Trump, you should stand when the national anthem is played. And so he's correct to speak out against that, and I believe the players should stand. They can make their protest any other place, and if the owners allow them, they can speak out, I guess, on the field. But as a matter of propriety and love of country and decency, you should stand when the national anthem is played.
Should it be a rule? We've been debating that this morning. Should it be a rule? Do you think the NFL should force those players to stand? A new Reuters poll has 58% of Americans agree that a place to make sure that every player is standing during the national anthem. Every American should stand during the national anthem. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think people should stand. I think it should be a formal rule of the league. They'll have to make that decision, but they should be able to say to the players, if you're on our field in our game, paid by us, you should respect the flag and the national anthem.
Mr. Attorney General, also we understand the House Republicans yesterday are calling again for a special counsel from the Department of Justice to look into some disturbing revelations about James Comey, Hillary Clinton, and former Attorney General Lynch. Will you answer that call?
We will absolutely talk with them and respond to them in the appropriate way. I'm not able to discuss investigations now, but we will respond appropriately to the Congress.
But you haven't decided if you're going to put a second special counselor out there, right? Because you already have Mueller working.
I'm not able to comment on where we are on that, Brian.
Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about this. We know the President of the United States has made it clear he's giving Congress 6 months to figure out what to do about all the dreamers in the country. And yesterday, before a Brooklyn federal judge, he essentially took a shot at the administration and said that this ruling, they wanted to extend one of the deadlines, was heartless. Nicholas Garafouis said it would be useful to take some of the pressure off the various parties, especially the very accomplished young people the president speaks of with such admiration. The thing about deadlines is they can be extended. He also called the administration heartless. What's your message to that judge and regarding the DACA dreamers?
First, I would say that the order that we've issued and the president has issued would delay for 6 months and give Congress full time to direct and establish any kind of policy they want to establish to deal with this situation. And I think the judge has a right to adjudicate the law. I do not believe the judge has a right to set policy. I do not believe a judge is a politician, and he can write his congressman if he'd like Congress to do a little little differently than currently is being done.
Well, the ball certainly is in the court of Congress.
Mr. Attorney General, I know you and the President were going through a rough patch. He mentioned in Alabama the other day that Jeff Sessions is doing a great job. Do you feel as though, have you guys healed the rift that may or may not have existed?
I am totally supportive of the President. I love his policies. It's a great honor for me to help at the Department of Justice to advance constitutional legal policies in accord with his leadership.
All right. Attorney General, great to have you on this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. It's 8:11 right here in New York City right now, and Jillian's got some news about a convicted killer.
That's right. Let's get you caught up on the headlines of this hour. Starting with this, a convicted killer scheduled to die is spared by the Supreme Court for now. Overnight, justice is granting a stay of execution for 59-year-old Keith Leroy Tharp. The decision coming hours after Tharp was supposed to be put to death. But attorneys appealed, claiming the Georgia man is intellectually disabled and that one of his jurors was racist. Tharp is guilty of murdering his sister-in-law nearly 3 decades ago. The man accused of opening fire in a church could face a judge for the first time today. Police say Emmanuel Sampson admits to shooting and killing a woman and injuring 7 others at a parish outside Nashville, Tennessee on Sunday. The 25-year-old immigrant from Sudan is charged with criminal homicide. Additional charges are expected. A major milestone for one of President Trump's biggest campaign promises.
Build that wall. Build that wall. Build that wall.
Crews officially breaking ground on prototypes for the Mexican border wall near San Diego. Over the next month, 6 companies will build a total of 8 models. President Trump says he will pick the winning design. So here are headlines on this Wednesday. Send it back to you guys.
Well, Republicans scrapping their vote on health care after 4 U.S. senators, all Republicans, would not apparently support it. Senator Rand Paul was one of the 4. He's going to join Brian coming up next.
And the Buffalo Bills, just one of the many teams taking a knee, but one stadium worker just took a stand, quitting his job after 30 years. You'll hear from him coming up.
And look who is in our green room this morning. Oh, yeah, that is Paula Dean. She'll be preparing recipes from her brand new cookbook.
Right.
Oh, I just love her.
You better go down there. She's there right now.
I'm going to run in my heels.
All right, the last-ditch effort to repeal and replace Obamacare now scrapped after at least four GOP senators, including our next guest, refused to give in their support. Here to react is GOP Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Senator, how do you feel about the latest attempt that failed on the GOP side to repeal and replace? Do you feel bad about how this came out?
Well, yeah, I wish we would just repeal it. You know, I went to Tea Party rally after Tea Party rally. There's probably no greater opponent of Obamacare than myself. As a physician, I've seen Obamacare up close and personal. It's a terrible system. But we promised to repeal it. We didn't go to Tea Party rallies and shout. I didn't hear anybody chanting, hey, guys, let's keep Obamacare and let's divvy it up to the states and mess with the formula so we take some money from the Democrats and give it to Republicans. We said we'd repeal it. We didn't say we'd keep it and block grant it. So this was not a repeal effort. It was a fake repeal. And what I think we ought to do is keep talking about real repeal. Obamacare is going to get worse. We will get other chances, but we should also do some things that are good for the country and good for health care immediately. And one of them, I've been working with the president for 6 months, and he assures me is going to happen in the next couple of weeks. He assures me that he's going to legalize the sale of across-state insurance through associations, which means any individual, millions of individuals in our country, will be able to buy insurance through a group, get cheaper prices, and get a better product.
Can he do that on his own?
Yes.
Okay. I want to tell you what he wrote the other day, and I know you saw this, and I know it's true. He says, I know Rand Paul, and I think he may find a way to get there for the good of the party. And I think you both have said this, you guys have become friends. The fact that you didn't get there, if he feels let down, do you blame him?
No, I think this originated more in the Senate. And the Senate really, you know, none of the senators really reached out to try to negotiate on this. I did try to negotiate in good faith with the White House. And what I told the White House is there were some good things in the bill. I liked expansion of health savings accounts. I liked giving governors waivers. I liked repealing the mandates. And I liked capping the entitlement. I just didn't like the block grant. So if we could have narrowed the focus, I offered as recently as yesterday with the White House, if you'll give us a narrow focus, I'm a yes. I couldn't in good conscious vote to just keep the Obamacare taxes and keep the Obamacare spending and reshuffle it to the states.
Rand, do you understand how the American people are unbelievably frustrated right now? And I'm not just talking about Republicans, but You guys got the mandate to get something done, and you're not getting anything done?
Yeah, but we promised to repeal it, and so the onus or the blame, if you want to give blame to anyone, is to those who changed their mind. Look, we all voted in 2015. Every Republican voted to repeal Obamacare. We had that identical vote. 7 people changed their votes. That's where the pressure needs to come. We need to keep our promise. Repeal Obamacare, and then if you want to talk about free market replacement can be free market reforms, legalizing choice. I'm all for it. But the first thing you have to do is keep your promise, keep your pledge to the voters, and that's to repeal Obamacare.
Senator, I can't get into detail now, but they're thinking about the long-awaited tax reform. What do you know about it? What bothers you most? What do you like the most?
Well, you know, I'm with the president that it ought to be a significant tax cut. He's been talking about a 15% corporate income tax. I'm all for it. I think we should stick to our guns there. The swamp, the establishment will try to get 25%. It'll wind up 30% because they don't know anything about negotiating. Let's do 15%. Ireland is 12, Canada's 17, most of Europe is in the low 20s. Let's be that shining city on the hill with the lowest tax rates. Let's be 15% and encourage business to stay here and grow.
It looks like it's 20, but the president wants 15. Word is he's not that excited about what he got. We'll see what happens. Senator Rand Paul, thank you.
Thank you.
Straight ahead, he fled the communist Hungary with his family and legally came here. He immigrated to the United States. Then he became the Giants' all-time leading scorer. Pete Gogolak in studio, soccer style.
Our next guest fled communist Hungary with his family when he was just a teenager, legally immigrating to the United States. He worked hard to achieve the American dream, playing football first for an Ivy League college and eventually becoming the all-time scoring leader for the New York Giants with 646 points. So what does somebody who always dreamed of becoming an American think of the players who are kneeling during the anthem these days? Here to weigh in is former NFL player Pete Gogolak. Pete, good morning to you.
Steve, great to be here. Thanks very much.
And before
it's wonderful.
As we get started, we need to recognize the fact that you pretty much are the guy who changed the way people kick the ball in football.
About 50 years ago. And my brother Charlie and I did change the game of kicking, and we didn't have any soccer teams here in high school, so the next best thing was to kick up American football soccer style.
Right, so rather than kick with the front of your foot, you kick with the side.
Kick with the instep, that's right, that's right. And I should have patented it because everybody else is doing it now.
Right. What do you know, it seems like there are a lot of players these days who are doing it, which is, we're talking about protesting. When you, Pete Gogolak, watch these young men on the field of football take a knee during the pledge, rather the anthem, what does that say to you?
Steve, it really bothers me that, you know, I have to be here as an old player, played for the New York Giants, and I have to defend and support the guys who had the courage to stand up for the national anthem. I can't believe that this is happening, this divisive thing is happening in this country. You know, when I look at that flag, to me, America stands for courage and the people who gave their lives the ultimate sacrifice so we could be free and strong in Europe, in the jungles of Vietnam, in the Middle East, and that's why that's why I look at that flag.
And when you look at those images of the players kneeling during the anthem, you find that very upsetting.
But it really bothers me. You know, if I would have done that back in, 50s and 60s, I think that the people from the stands would come down the field and it would probably beat me up. and if I would have the time to go to the locker room, my teammates would have taken care of me. It was just unheard of.
One of the things you told me a moment ago during the commercial break was the fact that the reason the flag is so important to you is it's the fabric of our nation. And to you and your family, it represents so much opportunity that you did not have in your communist.
But we never had that, escape from communist Europe. Under a communist dictatorship, we had the good fortune to come to this country. I was 15, my brother Charlie was 12, and my mother was pregnant with my youngest brother John, escaped across the Hungarian-Austrian border, and had the good fortune to come here. and this country embraced us, and we embraced America, and the opportunities that happened to us is absolutely wonderful.
Sure. Pete, what's your message to the young men who play the game and are taking a knee regarding what they are doing? Because they feel they've got the right, and they certainly have started a national dialogue about it.
I don't think they understand what the flag stands for. I do, and I think that young man, the Pittsburgh Steelers on the tunnel, who was had 3
Villanueva.
Services in overseas, he understood what the flag stands for. And when I was on the sidelines and Yankee Stadium, in front of 60,000 people, and listened to the national anthem and looking at the flag, I just kind of said to myself, how lucky I am.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. Pinch myself to play this wonderful game and then pick up a check, after the game, which was not like today, but it was pretty substantial. So I say these young guys, it's fine to protest, but please don't do it in the stadium with the flag and the national anthem. They're making a lot of money. Save that money, maybe start a foundation and express their grievances or support a community thing. So I hope that's the direction they should go.
Well, let's see what happens this Sunday.
Yeah.
Pete, go on.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
Thank you very
Pleasure
much.
to be here.
An honor to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Meanwhile, it was supposed to be a place for protesters to escape the chaos. Instead, a brawl erupts inside an empathy tent. Not kidding. Wait till you hear how this all played out. And the heated Alabama Senate runoff coming to an end last night. Conservative outsider Roy Moore, the judge, beating the president's pick, Luther Strange. Well, the judge is here for his first interview on the other side of a quick timeout. Early yesterday morning, that was Judge Roy Moore riding up to vote in Alabama.
Will he be on a horse this morning? He is joining us right now. Roy Moore, Republican nominee for U.S. Senate from Alabama, and elected last night as the nominee to go against the Democrat in that great state of Alabama. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling very fine, Abby. Thank you.
So what do you think it was about? Because a lot of people have been talking about you were not President Trump's candidate, but you very much were his brand. You represented someone who was a Washington outsider, not part of the swamp. Your message, you think, really resonated with the people in Alabama?
Well, I think the people of Alabama know me, and they understand what I stand for, and they'll certainly support President Trump's agenda. Yes, I'm an outsider, not part of the establishment.
A lot of people equate what you're doing to what Senator Rand Paul has a series of beliefs, and this is how he's going to vote, and it will be hard to realize. For example, if you were in the Senate and the block grant program that Graham and Cassidy put forward was out there, would Senator Moore have voted?
Well, I think I would have stood with Rand Paul. I think it's socialized medicine at best. And it's not, transferring it to states, not getting you out of the business, which is what we promised to repeal Obamacare, and we should repeal it.
Let me ask you this, Judge. How big a factor was when the former governor he was being investigated? He was being investigated by the Attorney General. At that point, it was Luther Strange. And then the governor then turned around and appointed Luther Strange Jeff Sessions' seat. I know in the final days of the campaign, you were trying to suggest that there was something suspicious going on there. Is that how you feel?
Well, getting someone and then take a favor, there's reason to be questioned. For me, it was a big factor. To the people, I don't know. You'd have to get to them.
What do you think about the throw his support behind you? You say you agree with much of what he stands for, but look, he was on the ground there in Alabama campaigning hard for your opponent, Luther Strange. He's tweeted out about this race a number of times. What is your take on that? How do you feel about not being the president's guy when you feel like you line up so?
Well, I don't think the president knew me, and I think that when he gets to know me, that I do support a very conservative agenda for this country, and I think that he will back me. And I received a call. That's what he.
What did he say to you?
Go ahead.
What did he say to you?
Well, he just said he would support me, and I think he will.
All right. Yeah, it was a short future. You have one more lap, and Democrats feel that you're vulnerable and that they might pour money in to take you on before the December.
The polls show otherwise, and we'll show them when we get to the general election. Very much prepared for it.
Everything you accomplished, and I know you've been in the headlines a lot, the 10. How you advanced through the runoff this summer.
Well, this is a very step, and of course it's been very much opposed. We've had $30 million plus out of Washington, D.C. trying to control the vote of the people, and it didn't work. People of Alabama can't be bought, and they stood and they voted, and here we are today.
Do you worry about working with Mitch McConnell? How are you going to do it if he was that determined to make sure you didn't get this seat?
As long as he stands for a conservative agenda and what we promised the people as Republicans, I'll work with anyone.
All right. Well, next stop is December, and Democrat Doug Jones, the winner in last night's special election down in Alabama. Judge Roy Moore, thank you very much for joining us live.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, let's go over to Jillian for some other headlines we're following. Hey, Jillian.
Hi, guys. Let's get you caught up on the news of the morning right now. Starting with this story, a bus driver narrowly missing plowing into a crowd of kids after getting slammed by a car. Incredible dash cam video showing the transit bus jump a curb, sending children running for their lives. The driver in Connecticut trying to regain control after the car crossed the center line. Police now trying to determine if the car's driver was distracted. At least 4 people are under arrest after a fight breaks out at the UC Berkeley empathy tent. Conservative students and leftist activists brawling at a campus rally. The event in response to the cancellation of Free Speech Week. Berkeley's empathy tent was supposed to be a place for protesters to calm down in the middle of the chaos, but apparently, as you can see, it didn't work. I threw my hat on the ground and walked out. A security guard who spent nearly 30 years working for the Buffalo Bills quits in disgust over national anthem protests. Earlier, Eric Nickershire explained his decision.
I took this stand for me because this is what I believe in. My friends and family support me. My father's a Korea War vet. He called me Sunday night. He was in tears. He was so proud of me.
Nickershire says he will never walk into New Era Stadium again, and he won't watch the NFL until the protests stop. A rogue pig brings rush hour traffic to a standstill. Police hot on his tail. This is near the east coast of Virginia yesterday. Police eventually catching the big guy, who they say is probably someone's pet. Not something you see every day.
What is it?
They're missing it.
What is it? It's a pig.
That was a pig?
A lot of people have pet pigs.
Thank you
That's
for
like
listening,
a thing.
Brian.
Didn't George Clooney used to have a pot-bellied pig for a while, I think?
Then he got married, and he moved on.
Now it has twins.
Right.
When I was growing up in Kansas, we had a lot of pigs.
But you use them for money, right?
We turned them into bacon.
Right.
That's what you do on the farm.
That was a financial transaction.
Meanwhile, we're going to be cooking with some sausage and Paula Dean in a couple of minutes. But right now, Janice Dean joins us from outside our world headquarters.
Can't wait to see Paula Dean.
You know what? This is the first time in weeks we're not talking about a hurricane that potentially could be so destructive. We still have Maria out there off the East Coast, but Maria is out to sea, and we like it that way. Here in New York City, this is like the last day of summer. Come over here, my friends. What's your name?
I'm Haley.
And Haley, what's your name?
Allie.
Yours?
Paul.
Where are you from?
Minnesota.
Do you want to say hi to anybody from Minnesota?
I would love to say hello to my mom.
Is Mom watching right now?
She must be.
I hope so. What about yourself?
I'm from Long Island.
You're from Long Island. Is anybody watching right now?
Mom.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. What about yourself?
I'm from New Jersey.
New Jersey. Who's watching?
Definitely my mom and grandma.
Oh, my gosh. Mom and Grandma, thank you so much for watching Fox and Friends. Should we look at the map real quick? I just want to show you. Maybe we're doing a little bit of weather. Here's Tropical Storm Maria. Not a hurricane anymore, and it's moving out to sea. We like that. A little bit of rough surf, some rip currents, but we like it when it does that. And that's Lee over there. Lee is not going to bother us either. But rip currents are going to be exceptionally high today across the East Coast. Okay, guys, come on. My new friends, I want you to wave and say hi to Abby and Steve and Brian.
Hi, guys. Hi.
Good morning, folks.
Good morning.
Weren't they awesome, my new friends?
They are indeed.
Everyone's friends with
Now
Janet.
go buy them breakfast.
Yeah. Or just give them the cash they can eat by themselves.
Thanks, Janet.
All right.
All right. Meanwhile, a Fox News alert, a growing crisis in Puerto Rico. Get this. The place is level. Carla Rivera getting a bird's eye view on the devastation across the island. She's looking at it. He joins us live from San Juan next.
And Paula Dean's got some new recipes, 150 of them in her new cookbook. She's coming up.